Have you ever just gone into your car and thought, man, how boring is it in here? Look at all this empty space. What can I do with it? It's so ugly. Am I just gonna have to live like this forever? Ugliness? Emptiness? I don't know. But then I got an idea. And the first step was research. I took my research online, as one does, the old Google, to look for some inspiration. And this one, I had a specific inspiration that I was looking for, because this wasn't for me. It's actually for my sister. So I took to Google, and here's what I found. I was looking for this specific bat air freshener that she had in her car but had lost. So I thought, her birthday's coming up, so I'll make it for her. And this is the inspo. I got my inspiration pictures and I was ready. And after I had my picture, I printed it out, as you can see, and then I just cut out my base shape. And once I cut this out, I'm gonna trace it, but I'm also gonna keep it for reference later. The template in hand, I'm gonna trace it onto my black felt. I just used an old white jelly roll that I had. You can use something else, whatever you have, but just something that's gonna show up on black fabric. So I cut one shape out, and we need 1 into 2. And there we have our front and our back. And our next step, and our most important step, you can say, is embroidering. So this was my first attempt, and as you could see, it looked a little unique. So that was because I used 3 threads at once, and then I decided I'm just going to use 1. So embroidery floss comes apart, and you can use all of them for all the thickness. Mine are 6 ply, or you can cut it in half, but I suggest if you're going to do detail work to do just the 1 ply, so just rip the 1 string out of the main embroidery floss. And as you can see, it's already looking a whole lot better than before. So the thinner your thread, the more details you can get. The thicker, the less detail you'll have. Now, most of this embroidering process is going to be on super fast forward because I was in a bit of a dilemma. So I either have to use my 13-year-old camera to film, which as you can tell has horrible focusing, as you can see, and that's the only way I can fast forward, or if I use my iPhone, I cannot fast forward at all. So I use iMovie. If anybody knows anything about any of that, any suggestions on programs that I can use or cameras, all is welcome. But here, this is what we've got so far. We've got our little face. And as a treat to all of you and the bats, thank you bats, I have written a poem to fill this space, since I don't really know what to talk about because it's just repetitive embroidery over and over. And you just kind of got to take inspiration from your reference photo. And even then, mine is not very close. I just kind of did what I thought looked good, and I just used the reference photo as a general guidance. And I suggest you do that too. Just do it in your own style, and it'll come out better than if you just copied it. And now, as promised, I will read to you my poem that I made about bats. Ahem. It is called Bats, a Poem. A bat, a mammal with a wing, swooping high, swooping low, planting gardens as they go, from north to south and back again. A bat will always be my friend. Tiny balls of magic light, bats will never make you fright. For they are not bad, that makes me sad. Bats are happy little beings, gliding across sunset skies, forever to be despised by those whom do not know the delight of a pleasant, plump little bat. Thank you, bats, for being you, for being true, for being bats. See you tomorrow and the night after that. Skedaddle, the sun is almost up. Goodbye, bat. Thank you. Hold for snaps and applauses. That was an original piece by yours truly. I hope you enjoyed it. along with all these little fun bat facts that I put together just to spice up the video a little bit. You know, bats are pretty misunderstood creatures and they get a bad rap, but really, they're just as important as bees or any other pollinator that we have. I think they get a bad rap because some might think they're ugly and they come out at night, and people associate dark with bad and light with good, so they think, oh, they must be evil, but really they're just cute little flying mammals that are just minding their business, going about life like you and me, just trying to get food and fly and hang out. And they're pretty important actually, as you'll see with our little bat facts. And our cute little bat friends are also on the verge of extinction, which is pretty bad and pretty sad because there's so many varieties across Earth. And I learned that bats are actually on every part of the world except for Antarctica and what is the other one? The two poles, the two coldest places on Earth. That's the only place they're not at. They're kind of like humans. They'll go everywhere and anywhere. As I was yapping about bats, I did do a blanket stitch to close it shut, but you want to leave a top flap anywhere you want. I used the top. So I left that open and then I just used yarn scraps to stuff it. You can use whatever you want. Batting, the cotton polyfill, I used my yarn scraps. You can even use fabric scraps. Whatever you have on hand, you don't even need to buy new stuff. And then you just blanket stitch it closed. And then our next job is to fasten the cord. So everything that I've used, I have linked in this description down below. Or if they don't sell it or I can't find it, I have linked similar items. So you can find pretty much everything that I've used down below in the description. There will be links. Here I'm just using some jump rings and I used a thick needle to kind of stab a hole in felt. Felt is pretty easy to kind of maneuver and make holes. If you had a sharp enough jump ring, you could probably just poke it through, but it was a lot easier to pre-make a hole. And then I have this cord that I got a long time ago, probably over 10 years ago. And that's what I decided to use. Everything I already had in my stash, but you can buy new if you need or secondhand. And then we have these crimps is what they're called. That's what I found out. And you use your jewelry pliers to put on the end of each cord and you just crimp it shut. And that way it gives you these little rings at the end where you can attach jump rings. And they're commonly used in jewelry making, which, yes, I went through a jewelry making phase, like I've said before, woman of many hobbies. So here we have both ends, and then we're just going to thread this through our top jump ring. I made the mistake of putting jump rings on both ends. Just do one end, thread it through your jump ring that's on your bat, that way it can fit through. And then you can close it up or add your lobster clasp at the end. You'll see right now, I'll notice in a little bit that I have to undo it to get it through. Like so. And my initial plan was just to leave it like this, kind of like the air freshener, but I thought, let's, pizzazz it up a little bit. It's a little bit boring. So then I decided to add chains and beads and such, and we'll do that next. So in my stash, I've got these little jewelry chains, my jump rings, and I'm using my thick needle again to poke holes in it. And I'm going to put jump rings where I want my chain to swag from. So that's what I'm doing here. I'm just kind of mapping out what looks good, and that's kind of what I did. I didn't have a plan exactly. I just draped it and thought, oh yeah, I like that. And then I repeated it on the other side. And this is where you can adjust to your liking as well. You can add more chain, more beads, less. It's completely up to you. You can just customize it to your liking. And now that we've got all our jump rings, then I just draped one side, and then I liked how that came out, so then I just repeated it on the other side. I'm sorry, I couldn't get like a very good angle. I didn't know what angle to film at, otherwise you would see my dirty room, but I had to film from the top, so I just draped it to the center, and then I draped the other one, I think as well, to the center, and then I repeated that on the other side. Just whatever looks good, whatever floats your boat will work. As for the beads, I hung them on individual little chains. So I just got strands of chains in lengths that I liked, and I hung it on the middle one. And then the other two on either side, I poked new holes and put new jump rings, and that's where I'm gonna hang off my chain. And after several hours of work, she's done.